I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 17, and let's focus on verses 18 through 22. So Abraham said to God, "If only Ishmael could live in your presence." But God said, "No, your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will name him Isaac. I will confirm my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant with his offspring after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you, and I will certainly bless him. I will make him fruitful and will multiply him greatly. He will father 12 tribal leaders, and I will make him into a great nation. But I will confirm my covenant with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you at this time next year." Genesis 17, verses 18 through 22. In religious Jewish culture, lineage is traced through the mother. There are several reasons for this thinking. One of them is that the mother is a child's chief nurturer, and she does the primary function of instilling values up into adolescence, and that includes religious values. So when a boy from a religious family comes of age, which is generally around 13 years old, the occasion is recognized with a ceremony called bar mitzvah. Bar is a Hebrew word for son, and mitzvah means commandment. Thus, he becomes a son of the commandment at age 13. By the way, there's no biblical command to perform a ceremony of bar mitzvah, but that's not to say that there's anything wrong with committing yourself to follow the Lord at a young age. For the Orthodox and the Hasidic Jewish community, women are not allowed to participate in the religious services. Thus, the bar mitzvah also acts as a handoff from the maternal to the paternal guidance of a boy. Now, when God told Abraham that Ishmael would not live in his presence, it was less a curse and more of a statement of the Lord's knowledge of the future. You see, God sees the future like we see the past because he's not bound by time. He sees it all. Hagar's Egyptian mindset and her values were going to be transferred to Ishmael. Now, by the time that Ishmael was circumcised, interestingly, at age 13, his values were well established by his mother. So it's not that Ishmael could not live in God's presence. He simply would not faithfully choose God, given his upbringing. And God knew that. It's also not that Ishmael didn't have the capacity to turn to the Lord, but God in his wisdom knew that he wouldn't. And God always knows everything rightly. Isaac and Ishmael, they share the same father, but Isaac was nurtured by his mother, Sarah. So, having experienced God's fulfilled promises, Sarah raised a faithful son. Furthermore, faith built upon faith throughout the generations, confirming God's word to Abraham. Similarly, it's also important how baby believers are taught and how they're brought up in the Lord. You want them to have a strong Bible study. You want them to have go to a church that really values God's word early on, because it's important, because that early discipleship experience is absolutely vital to the long-term values and the maturity of faithfulness of an individual. So it's good that you're with us, reading the Bible day by day and chapter by chapter. That's exactly why Groundworks Ministries exists. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.